If you have any interest in running a nonprofit or public charity, there are two things that you need to know about. How do I know all this? Well, I spoke with somebody who's been doing it for over 17 years. Her name is Denise Schamens, and she runs this organization called Good Friend Incorporated. And there, they work on issues of spreading awareness of autism and neurodiversity in workplaces, in schools, and in communities. And she stopped by the podcast Life as a to talk about her experiences. And from that, I did narrow down to, again, these two critical points that are going to be valuable for anyone who has aspirations of running their own nonprofit. So without further ado, why don't we just jump into things? Okay, well, the first piece of critical advice is passion. I know this isn't something that's groundbreaking or earth-shattering, but it is critically important, especially in the space of running a nonprofit. And why is that? Well, here's Denise to break that down for you.
And when you're doing something that you're passionate about, it comes so much easier. Like I went to school for fine art and commercial art. I was, happy to be behind the scenes making beautiful things, right? And I was not a public speaker, and I never thought of myself as a public speaker. And now I presented to over 67,000 students,
Amazing.
adults as well, conference circuit. When you are so passionate about a mission as this is, it's just so much easier to
Yeah.
do and speak to.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, one of the things that stands out in terms of that, and what you're just sharing there is like, when you don't know things and, you understand you're going to make mistakes along the way,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
sting, obviously. I mean, it's life. When you do make a
Yes.
mistake, it's natural. But I
Yes.
think it just helps, like having that passion to kind of like dust yourself off and get back up and keep going, because the cause is there. There's something that's driving you. It helps you
Yeah.
to kind of like move on, forget it. Okay, well, I've got a bigger thing that I've got to, go after here. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever just happened there. Okay, I can just leave that in the past. On to
Right.
the next,
Right.
on to the next. And I think that's where
Right.
passion really, like helps in that sense. All right. Well, the second thing you need to know and consider before starting a nonprofit or public charity is this notion of the personal and professional worlds intertwining. This is really, really a big part of running a nonprofit. You put your heart and soul into it, obviously the personal side, but then also you have the professional. You have people sometimes working under you that you got to take care of. And sometimes that can cause a little bit of friction. So you really have to understand this point before getting into it all. So here's a clip of Denise speaking to that. How do you manage those aspects, or how have you managed those aspects of being so tightly intertwined with a cause,
Right.
throughout the years?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I wake up thinking about Good Friend Inc. and I go to bed thinking about Good Friend Inc.
Yeah.
But it is, like you said, it's so intertwined in my family that I can live my life and support my kids and now my young adults and my husband. And it's all interwoven there. So
Mm.
I can't necessarily turn it off. I mean, I have to be very purposeful about taking time off, about scheduling time with my family, because it is very consuming, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can be like 80 hours in and you're still like hot on trying to get something done. Like when I was producing our neurodiversity at work film, that took a year and a half out of my life. And I remember I emailed my family and I said, this project is the largest project I've ever done. And I just want you to know that I'm going to be focused in it. And if you don't hear from me, it's not because I don't care or whatever. I just want you to know it's a short amount of time that I need to be fully focused here. And my family's been extremely supportive of that. My husband's family, they've been really great. And now my kids are, starting to have their own independence. So that's good timing too. But yeah, I mean, when you, from a small nonprofit who's constantly living from penny to penny, it's a difficult journey to say the least. It's not a moneymaker. It's definitely, I'm not getting paid what I should at market value, but that's not why I do it. And, luckily I have a husband that helps support our family and let me do this, which is amazing. So it's been, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit crazy, but I think that's what an entrepreneur has to be. You're passionate about it and you do what you have to do we've always been able to pay the bills. We've always been able to pay our staff. You know, we've never gotten in a situation like that, which is good. But it's a lot of balls to juggle, and you know, especially where we are now, we're many of us are doing multiple things at once, and trying to grow and launch a product is taxing. But
Yeah.
you have to be very purposeful about taking time for yourself.
Now, I know I did start this video by saying I had these two critical points that I wanted to share with you about running a nonprofit or public charity, but I do have a bit of a bonus for you. I asked Denise flat out, should you start a nonprofit? What is your advice? What would you say to that? And here's a really interesting clip where Denise shares her opinions based on all of her years of experience of running one herself.
Words of wisdom for me, when I think about our history and creating a nonprofit from scratch, I think what I realize now is, or when I'm talking to someone who's young and is interested in possibly pursuing nonprofit work, I do now say, look, I recommend that you look to see if something aligns that already exists, because I wouldn't recommend building a nonprofit as you're trying to get all the things done. There's a lot to consider in a nonprofit's existence that would make it successful or not successful. And sometimes you can be an arm of a nonprofit that already exists if you have a unique idea and the work's already done for you, because you have articles, you have bylaws, you have a board, you probably have board, committee, you have Robert's rules, you have lots and lots of meetings, and there's so much time commitment that is required to get a nonprofit up and running, that I would recommend that you look to see what is out there and offer it as an arm or an extension of that nonprofit. Because then you can get right into the things that you want to do right away. There's a lot of time waste that happens with trying to, not time waste, I guess. It's not what you were originally anticipating. And, when I look back at when we first started, it was like, oh, it's very daunting. So if it's already in existence or it's something that's very similar, I encourage you to collaborate. I think collaboration is probably my best advice to give to anyone, is get to know as many people in the industry, around the industry, as you possibly can, and make connections that way, because then doors open and then there's people there, there's funding there, there's the infrastructure is there. So connect, and probably don't build it from scratch.
All right, well, it's probably about time to draw this video to a close. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it valuable. But as mentioned, though, please check out the full-length audio version. There we dive in a lot deeper into Denise's story. You're going to learn more about her organization, as well as more about the rewards, the challenges, as well as some of the tools that she uses from a technology standpoint to help run her organization. Plus, there's this really great story that you don't want to miss. And you can find the audio version wherever you access your podcast. Just do that search for Life as a ... And really quickly here on this channel, on this YouTube channel, I would love that like or subscribe. So if you've got a second, please hit those buttons. Anyway, I will have another video coming for you right next week, so don't miss it. All right, we'll see you then.